Mr. Speaker, sir, there are a number of reasons as to why people move from a rural area to an urban area. A lot of it is to perhaps do with the lack of opportunities in the rural area. This could be economic opportunities, lack of services in that particular area. People want more services. Deprivation of perhaps access to lands on which they live on, or removal from lands on which they live on. Change in different career professions, as we heard the Honourable Prime Minister say. We have an aging, for example, sugarcane farmer population. People want to do other things. Growth of municipalities. Navua will soon be declared a municipal council, so suddenly Navua becomes an urban area. When towns and cities expand their boundaries, rural areas become encompassed in municipalities. We are looking at setting up townships in Nambuwalu, Kayasi. All of these areas will suddenly become urban areas, so the figures will go up. A change in social attitudes. For example, a lot of people have the attraction to urban life. They don't have, for example, cinemas in Senganga or various other places. Young people want access to cinemas, nightclubs, or whatever the case may be. And of course, technological changes. All of these combined. If, for example, previously we were harvesting cane by cutting cane, and now we have cane harvesters, those people who used to cut cane may not necessarily have a job in that area. So all of these things actually have an impact. And a rural-urban drift, Mr. Speaker, sir, to contextualize it, is in fact a global phenomenon. And I think we need to understand that, because perhaps sometimes the way the opposition presents this is as if that it's the only thing that's happening in Fiji, or Fiji is the only country where it happens. American Samoa, 12.8% of the population is actually in the rural areas. 87.2% are in the urban areas. Brazil, which is a very large country, 13.7% of the population actually live in the rural areas. A whopping 86.3% live in the urban areas. Barbados, 68.8% in rural areas, 31.2% in the urban areas. China, 42% in the rural areas, 58% in the urban areas. And we have a number of countries. I mean, a single country like Singapore, of course, the entire population live in the urban area itself, because the entire country is one big city. Cuba, 23% of the population live in the rural areas, 77% live in the urban areas. There are numerous examples and comparable, I mean, even countries like, for example, closer to home, New Zealand, for example, 13.5% rural areas and 86.5%. The issue there also is, Mr. Speaker, some of these countries, even like Australia, there's a very low rural population base, even New Zealand. The agricultural output is enormous because of adoption of technology, etc. Now, Mr. Speaker, sir, these are some of the reasons why we have these changes. Now, Mr. Speaker, the government actually has, since 2007, actually injected at least $2 billion to the development in respect of the rural areas. For example, rural roads, expanding access to water, and rural electrification, supporting the various sectors like sugar and agriculture, and income generating opportunities in the rural areas, the small and micro enterprises. All of these things actually entice people to stay in the rural areas. By comparison, of course, Mr. Speaker, from 2007 to 2018 fiscal year, we spent over $350 million for the rural economy, compared to less than $50 million in the years prior to the Bainimarama government. In fact, we are spending 7 times more in rural areas annually now, Mr. Speaker, sir. Of course, apart from this, we provide for education for young people, rural schools. We have had investment in rural schools. Boarding schools have been created in rural areas. And we have access to legal aid, social welfare, and of course, things like even BDM offices. So, for example, if you go to places now in Lekutu, Senganga, Vunindawa, Lakemba in Lau, Nambuwalu, all of these places now have actually BDM offices. They also act as recipients or offices where you can lodge business registration applications. On the other hand, we now have legal aid offices throughout Fiji. Taveuni is operational, of course, awaiting an official opening. Senganga and Kayasi now have new branches. Rotuma and Kandavu, the tenders have been called, they'll be setting up offices there. The reason why I'm highlighting all of this, Mr. Speaker, sir, is to demonstrate government's ability and willingness, and the political and administrative willingness and capacity to actually invest in the rural areas, so our rural people actually don't feel marginalized. They do not have these services. Because when you have your day-to-day service requirements in far-flung urban areas, people will feel inclined to go and live actually in those urban areas. So we have made a lot of investment in that. Minister for Infrastructure highlighted about how they're expending so much funds in water and electricity access. All of this actually retains people in those areas. Of course, the Honourable Leader of Opposition would know because he's from there. Places like Buda Bay, Nambuwala to Draketi, Singatoga Valley Roads, Savani Serea Roads, all of these have been tar sealed. So the farmers actually living in those areas have better access to the markets. So they don't necessarily have to feel they have to go and live in the urban areas. And of course people can easily go to them too, go and pick up their produce. So it makes it attractive to live in rural areas. Of course, Mr. Speaker, sir, we have also declared Vanua Levu, Kandavu, Levuka, Lomaiviti, Lau, Rotuma and eastern part of Viti Levu. And of course now, the northwest part of Viti Levu, right, including the eastern part, right from the Rewa side of the Nosori side of Viti Levu, all the way up to Matawalu village in Drasa, which is now an economic zone. So this is, of course, to attract investors, to set up businesses in those areas, create jobs in those areas, and in that way you get people to stay there, not only to stay there, but for people to actually go there from urban areas to live there. And we've actually seen those types of changes taking place. Connectivity also, mobile phone connectivity, internet connectivity, through the Wailesi platform. All of these issues contribute to people actually seeing the rural areas as, attractive. So it doesn't feel like, they don't feel like, oh, I have to go and live in Suva to have access to internet or move to Nasinu. But infrastructure growth in those areas helps people to find rural areas a lot more attractive. Of course, conversely, we have seen, for example, Honorable Nawai Kula is fully aware of this, late in the 1990s, wholesale areas in Fiji, land leases weren't renewed. If you go to places like, what we call the Goat Road, Waindamu Damu, the settlement here in Koronivia, numerous other places, they're full of people from Vanua Levu. They do not have any place to live. So they all came to Suva, became taxi drivers, building their homes on sewage pipes, on squatter lands, etc. They suddenly became urban dwellers. So what are we doing? What are we doing, Mr. Speaker? Because we have to. It's a two-pronged approach, Mr. Speaker, sir. You have to invest in the rural areas to make rural areas attractive, but you also have to invest in the urban areas to make sure that those people who actually came from the rural areas have access to facilities in the urban areas also. Because you can be a squatter living between Suva and Nosori, but not have access to sewage, not have access to water, not have access to electricity. So we have also, Mr. Speaker, invested quite heavily in the health services. You go to, in 9 miles, we're building a fire station, health center, Devu Levu. Honorable Tikundundua would know that, who would see all the developers as every day he passes by. So we are building the capacity. We are also what we're calling decentralizing services. So before in Fiji, if you had to register your child, you could only go to Lambasa, Lotoka and Suva. Now it's everywhere. You can also go to Nasinu. So by decentralizing government services, you're keeping people a lot more so in a peripheral area. So this is a lot of investments that have been made, Mr. Speaker, sir. And we will continue to, of course, focus on these areas. Thank you.